Good morning, Chef. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present a unique product to you, the one I discussed over the phone and which has led to this appointment. Thank you. I appreciate it. What you see that I have here is I've got an aluminium tray fitted with magnets, and inside this I will rest this polypropylene bag, and I would remove this plastic covering which is there just to protect the bag, and inside this polypropylene bag is this mineral known as sorbite. I would put this in your cauldron on the ceiling. I'd put it in the areas where the slowest moving air is available, and as that air moves through the tray into the polypropylene bag, which you'll note is perforated, it will hit this mineral. Now, when that happens, there are a number of things that are going to arise. But before I get to that point, let me just, so that you feel comfortable with this product, is that this has been in the United States food industry for more than 40 years, Australia and England for the past 12, and we've been active in South Africa since 2007. And on those continents I've just mentioned, it's very much part of their HACCP program. So it's an integrated approach to HACCP cold chain programs. It really adds so much value, and that is, if you give me the time, I'm going to explain to you how and why it works. As that air in the cauldron moves through the mineral and hits through the air, it hits this mineral. Now, this mineral is known as sorbite. It's the only mineral in the world that can absorb and desorb. It is also only found in one place in the world, and that's in the Mojave Desert in the United States. Now, when we put it into a cauldron, you will know during the course of the day, a very busy day, the doors are opening and closing. In some instances, they just plain left open. Now, when that happens, the hot air outside of the cauldron rushes in, meets with the cold air inside the cauldron, and when the two clash, you get moisture being created. Now, even if you've got a drop-down temperature inside your kitchen and that's where your cauldron's located, that air is still warmer than that in the fridge, and when it gets together, moisture will be created. Now, we all learnt at school that hot air rises, but in a cauldron, it's a little bit different. You get this ventilation of cold air coming off your cooling units, hits across the wall, goes down, goes to the back, up to the back of the cooling unit, off to the compressor. That's how the air flows inside a cauldron. Now, the hot air coming into the cauldron tends to stay at the bottom. Why? Well, it bounces off this cold stream, continuously bouncing off. Eventually, it will move around. And when it moves around and there is sufficient moisture or excess moisture in that hot air, that is when you'll get the presence of condensation on the walls and the ceiling, and it will drip back down onto the floor. Now, I say with respect, and I'm not sure if you really know this, and a lot of people in the industry don't, but when the cauldron doors are closed for hours on end, like after peak work shifts, the reverse occurs in that cauldron. Your air coming off the evaporator fans is dry and stays dry. And what it does then, it dries out the atmosphere inside that cauldron. And when that happens, any foodstuffs that's lying around, stored in there, fruit, veg, herbs, meat, fish, anything, all of that will have to give up moisture. And when it gives up moisture, it starts to shrink and shrivel. And as you've seen baby marrows, just a few hours, totally flopping over. Lettuce not lasting that long. Part of the reason why those two products I've just mentioned and a whole host of others just lose qualitative condition. There are more reasons, I'll get to them just now. When there's excess moisture in the air, this mineral naturally retains that moisture. And when conditions become too dry, it releases that moisture back into the environment. So your produce lying there does not have to give up the moisture. Now, if we plot the relative humidity before the filters are put into a cold room, you'll have a high wave action, too moist, too dry, too moist, too dry, too moist. When we put the filters in, still a curve, but much flatter because there is a balance. So we find on average humidity levels of 65 to 72% will stabilize at between 78, 82, even 88%. That's the perfect range for storing foodstuffs, and this gets you there and keeps you there. That's one of the benefits. A second benefit is all fruit, veg, and herbs are giving off ethylene gas. That gas is created by the plant and is utilized as part of the growth, so it's a growth hormone. But once harvested, it still produces the gas. Now, in a supermarket floor where it is open, it's not an issue because the gas will float away into the ventilation system. But in a cold room with the four walls chambered, it got nowhere to go except float around and start to rest on other produce. And the more sensitive that produce is to ethylene gas, the greater the ripening process will be, where the result is your produce will start to deteriorate. If it comes in ripe, it's going to over-ripen. So you can see that the ethylene gas needs to be removed. Thirdly, all your crates, boxes, cartons, pallets, all have got spores, molds, and yeast attached to it in the transport process, in the delivery process. And when that lands up in a cold room and the boxes and that are shuffled around because you're looking for stock, what happens then is the bacteria loosens up and that starts to float around. And that's how you get molds and yeasts popping up in a cold room because they're floating around. That's also how you get cross-contamination from one food stock to another food stock. At the same time, when we look at all of this, all of these, the excess moisture, no moisture, ethylene gas, airborne bacteria, all of that makes the best fridge or cold room unproductive in terms of storage processes. Even an old fridge, a brand new fridge, these are things that refrigeration science has not got to that point where it can eliminate them. So we need external help to do that. And that's what this mineral does. This mineral absorbs 79% of ethylene gas on a consistent basis, and it'll remove 82% of airborne bacteria present in that cold room. And it does it consistently and forever. So, when this mineral bag is fitted to the ceiling, it's doing its work where the air is moving through, it's doing all these things I've told you. This package here lasts a month. So we will come along at the end of each month, or in the middle, depends when your service round is, and we will replace this bag. We'll take it away to our cleaning room in Randburg, where we'll clean it up and have it checked in our laboratories and reused. This mineral is 100% recyclable. You don't throw away anything, and it gets used over and over and over again. Now, all these conditions I've told you that this mineral will produce going to make your cold room a perfect storage environment. So much so that you're going to find that it's colder, it's going to be crisper, and you're going to have no odors. Many people don't know, but the typical whiff that you get in a cold room is nothing else but ethylene gas and airborne bacteria floating around. So despite having the cleanest cold room, you're still going to have that odor, but now no more. It will be removed. And also what you will find is the temperature nearer the floor is going to be much colder. And with that result, because the latent heat has been removed by moisture control, the mineral is performing that function, the air going to the compressor is much colder than before, and therefore your compressor runs less because it doesn't have to drive the temperature that far down. And in that process, you also find that you have energy savings on the compressor side. It's not a heck of a lot, but it is a saving and a contribution. So, this mineral reduces your carbon footprint. Why does it do that? Well, first of all, you're going to have far less food spoilage. Anything from 50 to 300% longer shelf life for fresh, cooked, and prepared foodstuffs. Where have you heard of that? Then, also what it's going to do is if your cold room is large enough and you have sufficient storage, you can reduce your deliveries from 3-4 times a week to once or even twice. Because this product is going to keep your produce in top shape. And you have the best product. If you bought the best, it will retain it at that best. It obviously can't take a third grade product and make it a first grade. So, what I'm prepared to offer you, and a whole range of chefs around the world, and some of the best known Michelin-rated chefs use this product. And if it works for them, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So I'm prepared to give you a free trial for 2 weeks to test this product in your cauldron. All I'm asking for you, it's free for you, it's not free for me. I've got a whole lot of work to do during these 2 weeks. I'm going to be coming in here, taking temperature readings, taking humidity readings, and I'm going to plot these, and I've got all that work to do. All I'm asking is that you, chef, or someone senior in your kitchen is going to take responsibility for this exercise, because it's subjective. You have to be able to look, see, and feel, is there a difference? If you have a stock waste sheet, or you are very aware of your losses, then it's brilliant, because you will see that there will be a huge reduction in that area. So, on offer, free for 2 weeks, which eventually turns out to 3 weeks, because I still have to do a technical report, and I have to bring that report and present it to you. And although this report that I'm going to do for you, it's going to have graphs in, not terribly technical, but it's going to tell you exactly what happened in that cauldron in terms of relative humidity, in terms of temperature. But this is not going to sell the product to you. You're going to take it because you've personally seen, or you've been influenced by someone that you've appointed, that it's worth keeping this product. Now, even here, I have reams of papers and laboratory reports that we can go through, and if you have the time, and I'm more than happy to show you that some of the best HACCP experts in the world support this product. And if it's okay with you, during the course of the trial, I'd like to put up this poster. We'll put it on your door. If it's a meat cauldron, we'll have this one. If it's a general cauldron, we'll have the general cauldron poster. And it'll just remind everybody in your kitchen what is going on there, so that they all become your ears and eyes during the course of the trial. So thank you very much for this opportunity to do the presentation. And hopefully I've inspired you sufficiently to decide that a trial is worth consideration. Thank you very much.